I'm Jonathan Rose, and this is my story.
Okay, last night, I'm still recovering up from last night. Last night, I was fighting demons with my past life. That's right, I was pouring, drinking, sipping, right, addicted to the fast life. Okay, yesterday, really can't remember much from yesterday, but every day I wake up, I turn into a cheddar taste. A heavyweight, I'm a heavyweight, use a featherweight. We could get your cheddar straight, yeah. What the fuck? You old as hell and I'm young as fuck, drunk as fuck. In my face talking about a tummy too. She such a down the fucking fool. Cause my money up, know I got my money oh. Do my own thing in my own lane. Okay, let go. Gang on the same thing. It don't make no sense if it don't make no paper this yeah. Ain't all I gotta say to a hater this yeah. Okay, go get your sack right. Get your sack right, yeah. Get your sack right, go get your sack right.
So, seeing Charles Barkley go pro in basketball, football was my lane in my city. Like, if you don't really know where leagues at, you can go like right by it. Like everybody, it's on the main highway, but people just don't know leagues are sitting there. So, to kind of get the hype up and get people to understand where we were and just get our name out there, we did it through like athletics. So, like I said, Charles Barkley put us on by being the first to go pro, and I was the next up in the city. So, to just go D1 for one was a lot. Then to go pro was just the next step. So he did it in basketball, I did it in football, and that's really how I made my name, just in the city. So coming from a small city where not many people make a name for themselves, so it was easier for me, but it was kind of hard because now everybody's trying to figure out what kind of place is this. Okay, Charles Barkley, Jonathan Rose, two talented individuals, but just coming from like even Alabama in general, we only, like the South is always known for athletes. Like we don't really, that's like we the main producer of great athletes. So I felt like just through that route, I just had to make a name for myself in football.
Uh, it was good on my end. I probably coached him. I think I coached him like 5 or 6 years when he was in little league football. I know his first year I didn't coach when I signed him up, and then after that I was coach and the president of the park. So I was like president of the park and coaching his football team for like 5 or 6 years. And when I started coaching him, I kind of knew he was gonna be a pretty good athlete just because like from a real like when I got the team, I had him doing. I was more on a college level. I was probably doing a little stuff that was a little more advanced than some other coaches was doing in little league. But I have him doing cone drills and just footwork drills. And a lot of kids at that age, they hadn't really got their coordination. You know what I'm saying? So they're kind of awkward trying to do, trying to keep the head up and go around a cone and back pedal and do all that. And but it's just fundamental stuff that you're gonna need later on in life anyway if you're gonna play football. So I had my team doing that, and he starting out, he would do it with no problem. He had balance, he had speed. Um, he probably played baseball. I think he played baseball at a young age before he played football. So he probably played 2 years of baseball before I actually let him play football. And I remember one game we was at, and it was I think it was a run on second. He hit a ball in the outfield, and they told him, to run the bases and run home. And when he hit the ball, the guy on second base took off, and he took off from home plate, and he passed the little boy on third baseline coming home, and they had to tell him to stop to let the other little boy cross the plate before he crossed the plate because he couldn't pass him on the baseline. So from there, I knew he was going to be fast. He was going to have speed. And then, like I said, he played baseball first, and then he played football. And me coaching him in football was just a joy because um, you at a young age, and with me being in sports all my life, the kids that just got that it factor, and just got the talent, and then all you got to teach them is kind of like fundamentals. And he was just real easy to coach because he was so athletic.
Man, he was pretty cool, man, full of energy. Very respected by his peers. A couple of his peers looked up to him as well, as far as sports wise, because he was. We knew he was always going to be good from the little league football all the way up until now.
I actually saw Jonathan when he was real small and watched him grow up. And, coaching him in high school, he's always a phenomenal athlete. He was one of those kids who played both sides of the ball for us. He played wide receiver on offense. He played DB on defense. Of course, he always got the best guy. If we're playing somebody that had a great receiver, he was always going to be the guy that's guarding them. We actually played Madison Academy, and he had Jordan Matthews, who was he's a big time player in the NFL, and Jonathan held him to like 4 catches and I want to say it was like 18 yards or something like that, So Jonathan, he was always a phenomenal athlete. Growing up, you used to go watch the Little League games and playing in the Little League games, and he would just destroy people in those games. And having him on your team was real special because not only what kind of player he was, but what kind of leader he was.
So when I realized football was my lane, I just started to navigate everything in my life to pursuing it as a professional athlete, and just that's where all my energy went into. So now I was trying to earn scholarships. Now I'm trying to just make sure I reach my full potential in the game. So my dad, being a college athlete, he went D1, played for Auburn University back in the 90s. So watching him grow up, that was a great example. So just my love for football grew even larger just because I got to watch somebody in my household, somebody I respected, do it. So when he finally got done with college, he settled down, came back, and started to coach me. So now he's starting to put all the work he had in himself into me. And he kind of developed my love of the game. And then after him coaching me and getting me better, I found my own passion. But then I realized I could take it to another level. So once I got to high school, I became a 2-time state champion. I was All-American, played in the All-American game, and also earned like all the scholarships and stuff you can earn in the South. I had every school in the South and some schools from other places. So I decided to go to Auburn, and that's when everything changed. So that's when I got into like the big leagues. This is now where you got to separate yourself from all the greats. So everybody was a high school All-American that you can play against. Now you got to separate yourself with your skills, your play, and just with your character. So that's when I took on the role of, all right, this is who I am. I'm Jonathan Rose, the athlete now. So I'll forever be judged by this, so I got to make sure my play is always at the higher tier. Now I'm going to be against the guy, so now this is where competition becomes to separate the goods from the greats, and I was trying to be great, so I made sure I always kept the pedal to the metal.
It was great. It was a good feeling because I had been through that process on the player side when I, got recruited, going through high school and got recruited by Auburn and signed my scholarship with Auburn. And for me to be on the parent side of it, it was a good feeling because, it was seeing, all his hard work and all of his dedication, pay off and getting to see him and enjoy that part of life, with the coaches like Nick Saban and back when he was being recruited by Auburn, Gene Chizik, having them people come to the house and come to the high school and, calling him, daily, because they, trying to get him to go to their school. It was a good experience for him, and it was a good experience for me and my family.
His recruiting process was a little crazy because everybody wanted him. He was one of those kids that, he had all the offers, and he never let that get to his head. He never publicized any of that or anything like that. Jonathan's sort of a private kid. It was him and his family, his dad, Charles, his mom, Felicia, and they handled that so professionally. And, he had the big offers. I can remember sitting in Coach Saban's office with Jonathan and, Coach Saban saying, Jonathan, we really want you here at Alabama. And, you would be a huge part of our success if you came here. And, we really think that you could be a kid that could come in and be an All-American and, do some special things here at Alabama. And, we want to win national championships. And to win national championships, we got to get guys like you, And, to hear, Nick Saban, the guy who, put so many DBs in the NFL and say that kind of thing about a kid that you're coaching, it just makes you understand how lucky you are to coach that kid. And, of course, Jonathan chose Auburn, because I think, he felt comfortable there because he had been down there some with his dad. And, his dad was, an Auburn alum. And, everybody loved Charles down there. And, when Jonathan went down there, it was, it was special.
Now that I would say that was very awesome because at one point I didn't know his father played for Auburn until we started just getting closer, and I started coming over his house, and his dad has a nice little room where all his accolades and stuff, all that stuff is at. So I kind of like saw his father playing for Auburn, so we kind of like knew at that point that he'd go. And I actually went on his official visit with him to Auburn, and we had a fun time down there, and I could see that he liked the atmosphere. So it was great, man. It was real great.
One of those feelings that, your son following in your footsteps, but, not necessarily to be compared to you, you know what I'm saying? Because he is his own man and is making his own way. But it was just good to see him go to my alma mater and have some success like the same as I did.
So watching my dad play at Auburn and being on the plains as a young kid, I already had a vision of playing college ball at Auburn. So the next step for me was just earning the scholarships. Like I said, in high school, I made it to All-American status, so the scholarships came. But once I committed and high school was over and I got to Auburn, it was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. There was a lot of pressure coming in as a freshman All-American. People expect you to start first year. And it was guys coming off of the 2010 team where Cam Newton led Auburn to the national championship. So I was coming off of a high school state championship. Auburn was coming off of a national championship. And now I'm coming in trying to take jobs from guys that just played in the Natty. So that's a big chip to take right then anyway, just because I was at the smaller level, the level right before college, so I felt like I was successful. High school state championships make you feel like, okay, I'm a champion, I can do this. But when guys win natties, I know how hard it is to win a national championship. So to come in and whoever the starter was the previous year, to come in and take a spot like that, you got to be ready mentally, physically, and all that. Just because it's not when you playing high caliber championship football, it ain't easy.
Well, yeah, but Jonathan fit what I believed in. And sometimes coaching-wise, philosophies sift around a little bit. You got some coaches on our staff that was on the defensive side of the football. They're more zone guys. I have my own terminology for those guys. I call them scared to play guys. But anyway, Jonathan, that was not his repertoire. He was like me. He wanted a challenge. He wanted to talk. He wanted to get in their face. He wanted to contend every play. And that's what I liked. That's the reason we won so many games there. Past is we didn't care who we were playing. It could be the University of Alabama, which we beat them as much as anybody ever in the country. And, and they played great football there. But we knew to beat the great ones, you had to beat them. It wasn't going to be no luck. You wasn't going to accidentally fall in the back door. Jonathan was my style. He liked that style. I liked that style. So he fit me well. I mean, he was, when you called press or you called man, a big old smile would come across his face. He was excited. As most DBs are if they're competitive. So he had that going for him. And as long as I was at Auburn, he was always one of those guys that I said, hey, look, you give me a year or two with this guy, and he's going to be in the NFL. And I felt very confident about that.
What I'm about to say is 100% true. I think he caught an interception every practice. I can't make this up. I think I've seen Jay Rose catch an interception every practice, whether it was 1-on-1, 7-on-17. Somehow that dude was always near the ball. He was always near the ball, and he's always been a ball hawk the same way he is over there. If somebody fumbled, Jay Rose, no matter where he is, somehow he gonna find a way to get the ball. How? I don't know. And that's something you can't teach. And he's always been a ball hawk. So when I used to go against him, I didn't fear him. He didn't fear me. It was always great competition. Like, I knew I had to be on it or J. Rose going to pick it off, basically. Because he's going to be there. They don't have too many people that run faster than him, too many people as skilled as him. So he's going to be in the area. If you slack off 1%, he's going to intercept the ball. So he's been known. I call him baby ball hawk.
With all that being said, that's when I got my grind, and that's when I got my hustle in the game. So I was like, well, to get everybody else to respect me, even just the players in the game, just the other 10 guys I'm out there with to respect me, I got to start making plays, and I got to do it on a consistent level, and I got to make sure I give them the confidence that they can play their best game knowing that I'm out here with them. So that freshman year was a good, humbling experience, and I appreciate all the games I got to play in and stuff. But after that, I ended up transferring from Auburn to go to Nebraska in the next year.
Tackling very well. Isaac Rodriguez puts it on the turf, and the Huskers have it.
So once getting to Nebraska, I felt like I had a fresh start. I was introduced to the college game at a SEC school, one of the tougher levels. So now to come to the Big Ten in Nebraska, I felt like I was a little step ahead of the game because I felt like SEC football was top ranked in the NCAA. So I feel like that's the powerhouse. So that's where you gonna get your toughest competition. And each division has their own strengths and weaknesses. So once I got to Nebraska, the first thing I realized is just how big everybody was. Man, I remember my first day in the weight room, linemen, D-line, they just in there pushing weight, bro. Even our safeties and linebackers, I couldn't tell who was who. I couldn't tell who was the safety, who was the linebacker. It was just everybody was bigger. And with my first practice, like in the SEC, we're hard-nosed, run the ball type guys. But up in the Midwest, they really hard-nosed, run the ball. So like it's like coming from where talent and scheme makes teams, now I'm going into a traditional team where it's basically all our scheme. We can put any running back here we want to and they can get the job done. So that's kind of how Nebraska was. They just had big guys and they just rotate them. And either you going to get tired or we going to get tired. So what I developed in my game in Nebraska is just endurance and being able to handle different types of people. So like I said, being in the SEC, I seen a lot of athletes, fast guys. Got to the Big Ten, I seen more finesse guys. Wasn't too many going to take off on you on a go route or anything like that, but they all had size and they all were great players. They had good hands and they ran good routes. And basically they do that consistently all game and make you make mistakes. So this made me harness in on my game. So when I got there, it's a rule that when you transfer from a D1 to a D1, you got to sit out a year. So my first year, I just got to play scout team. So I scouted Nebraska's starters at that time. Some of them in the NFL now.
Get your sack right, get your sack right, yeah. Get your sack right, got it. If we talking thuggin' or we talking money. New mansion, mama flow, got me a couple $100 cash. My wife's like 400 with no stones in it. Partner in the Fed in it, Sally got a phone in it.
One thing that I remember distinctly, and we were in spring ball, and Jonathan played boundary corner. And usually the boundary corner is probably the best corner on the field. And we had our best receiver, who we thought our best receiver was at the time, lined up against him. And our defense, we had coached against our own staff for so long that we knew that backside receiver was going to be left one-on-one or in man coverage. And we thought, okay, we'll take a couple shots at Jonathan on the one defense, and we'll throw a couple fade balls, maybe a couple comebacks or slants, things like that, one-on-one routes. And I remember he stopped every one of them. And he might have had a pick. I don't remember, we're not talking dating back 5 years ago. I don't remember distinctly what happened, but I do remember it was very tough. And in the meetings that night, we kind of all said, that's a pretty good player right there. We gotta maybe, understand what he can do and go to the other side. And guys were kind of laughing, and we were just so new that we were just trying to get used to everybody. But I remember everybody saying, like, he's going to be really good for us. And Michigan State had just beat Ohio State, or the week after they beat Ohio State, but we were playing them. And it was a Saturday night game, packed house at Nebraska. 90,000 fans.
Everybody thought we was going to get blew out. They was like, man, Nebraska shouldn't even schedule this game. They should have forfeited this, that, and the third. So we had that chip on our shoulder going in. And for me, this is my biggest time to show out. This is a game everybody watching. This prime time. We're the first one on at 7 o'clock. This is my time to get noticed. And I feel like you got to take advantage of those opportunities. Every athlete knows it's games in an athlete's career that they're going to remember forever. And for me, this one was mine.
And Jonathan had a big job that game, and he had to play against one of their best receivers, and he was one of the best receivers in our conference at the time. And he locked that guy down. I don't think he had any catches, and I remember Jonathan had 2 interceptions and one in the fourth quarter that either solidified the game or got us the ball back, and we went down and scored.
That was a game that put everybody that played for Nebraska, they put us on in the eyes of everybody in the football world. Like, we can really go out here and show out. And for myself, that was really the game that elevated me. Like, bro, you made a play that changed the game, that helped you win. So that's when I developed this sense about myself, like, oh, you a baller, you a playmaker. When you in the game, you can make things happen, you make things change. So that's the attitude I carried throughout my whole career. So as an athlete now, I just feel like I'm a winner. You put me on your team, I can help win in some kind of way. I might not be a starter, but if you can get me in that game to affect anything, I can make something happen. So finish up at Nebraska, earned a couple NFL opportunities, got some rookie minicamp invites, then get drafted, as you can see. But I figure like the invitations to the minicamps gave me an opportunity. So I was like, well, whoever they drafted, they're going to have to show up today. So I remember going to the Seahawks. I was there for 3 days.
When he told me he was going to the Seattle camp, you know, I was excited for him, because he did put in a lot of work and a lot of time. And, NFL, CFL, it's a minute few players that, get to move on to the next level from college. And it's a minute few that actually move from high school to college, because I think I know to make the NFL out of college, it's like less than 0.01% of the players, which is probably one person off every team if you think about it. And so to get invited to the camp, was a testament to his ability.
When he signed to Seattle, and I was there, and I had a name in the building, and I remember talking to some of the scouts. I'm like, bro, y'all don't know what y'all just got. Like, this dude could play. They're like, we'll see. I'm like, okay. I can't make this up. First day, the ball on the ground. Who you think got the ball? J. Rose. Like, he stayed near the ball. He stayed near the ball. He's an elite player in my book.
Caught an interception, forced a fumble, and I thought I left a good impact, So in 3 days, I had a forced fumble and an interception, and then last day I go in to meet with at the time, whoever the DB's coach was, sorry, I can't remember his name, but he talks to me, he's like, Jonathan Rose, you played tremendous these last 3 days. We like your size, we like your physicality, we like all that, but we took a corner last pick of the draft. Mr. Irrelevant. You know why he's still irrelevant? Because I still don't know who he is. But either way it go. He got his opportunity. So they was like, give us some time. Let us see him in OTAs and stuff, and we might give you a call. So that opportunity then panned out into a contract. So I was going to sit back and wait. I was just going to sit back and wait for an NFL team to call. But then I want to say Nebraska's offensive coordinator hit me. And that's how spaced out people are in the football world. I can't even remember the offensive coordinator's name just because we didn't deal with each other a lot, because I'm always on the defensive side. Special teams, I know of offensive coaches, but we ain't on a first name basis. So he calls my phone. I remember being at home in Alabama. He said, Jonathan Rhodes, I heard you did good at your rookie minicamps, nothing panned out into a contract. He's like, hey, I'm sorry for you for that. But he was like, I got another opportunity for you. He said, would you like to play in the CFL? For the Ottawa Red Blacks. He was like, I got a trial opportunity for you. I was like, okay, what that's at? Not even knowing that the CFL stands for the Canadian Football League. I thought it was like an arena league or something in the States. So I was like, well, yeah, I can give it a shot. I just want to play some ball. So he was like, well, just do your research, look them up, and then they should be calling you here shortly. So within an hour or two, they called me. But before that, I looked up Ottawa. Like I said, it was 16 at the time. So I seen their 2015 season where they made it all the way to the semifinals, fell short. And I just got to see their first year where they weren't real good, and then that second year they bounced back to go to the Grey Cup. So I seen, like, man, they got a pretty decent team. I seen some of the guys flying around, end up being my teammates, Abdul Kanays, Willie Pease, Sir Bees, Trevor Harris, Hank. So I seen some of the GOATs. I was like, okay, they got some ballers out here. Not knowing those guys personally, but just off first sight, I was like, this is a team I feel like I can probably make some noise with.
Yeah, well, I remember how it happened. I had just gotten there. I was new in Ottawa, and I was new to pro football, and it was my first full-time job. So 2016, I was definitely a little bit quieter. You know, I kind of just wanted to do my job every day and you know, be seen but not heard. And which some people who know me now probably would laugh at that comment. But I believe it was training camp, or towards the second week of training camp, Coach Campbell had let me know that Coach Langsdorff had called. And Coach Langsdorff was one of our coaches at Nebraska. He was my boss in Nebraska and my connection to Coach Campbell. And Coach said, hey, do you know this Jonathan Rose? Coach Langsdorff is trying to get him an opportunity up here. And I said, yeah, he's a really good player and a really good guy. And, you know, gosh, a week later, all of a sudden, here's Jonathan Rose walking down the hallway. And I was like, oh my gosh, I know somebody. You know, I had come to Ottawa. I didn't really know anybody other than Coach Campbell, and I barely knew him. So it was cool to see a familiar face that week. And I know it was probably the same for him, as we were both coming into a new country and a new environment, a new style of football. And it was good to have, you know, that connection that we had already had as we were growing in our first year.
I remember my first practice. I'll never forget. I got there late, matter of fact. So they were going into their last preseason game. So I came in that last week of practice and getting ready for the preseason game. So my first practice, at the end, they do a competition where either like one-on-one or offense versus defense. So it was one-on-ones on this day. So I go my first round, get a knockdown, cool. Second round, get a knockdown, cool. So now they coming down to the last couple. It's all right, this is our last one. We want to see Greg and we want to see Jonathan Rose. So Greg, he was one of the star receivers of Ottawa at the time. He was one of their leading 1,000-yard receivers, young guy, kind of tall, bigger body guy. Like I told you, I always feel my opponent out before I go against him, so I ain't really know a lot about him, but I figured he had size and he didn't strike me as fast at the time. So they was like, okay, whoever wins this one, loser got push-ups, this, that, and the third. So I was like I told y'all, I'm always down for the challenge. I was like, put it on me. I'm going to make it happen. This is how you getting on. Again, as I told y'all about all my other ones, every time I get put to the challenge on the first time, I always seem to fail. So I remember he hit me with a slant, because everybody else was running like double moves, and I was breaking it up. So I thought he was going to do slant and go or something. So I slough off on the slant. He catches it. Boom, disappointed. So all the defense doing push-ups. Nobody know me at this time either, y'all. So my confidence taking a hit, because everybody around me talking crazy, because nobody know you just a rookie that came in. So I'm already down. So we're going into the preseason game. I was like, bro, you just got to do something to stick around. I was like, this is my first pro experience. I'm just trying to make a name for myself. And really, I just want to be on this team. I was like, if I can just make the team, everything else will pan out. So in the preseason game, not a lot of throws my way, not a lot of action. So I was like, dang, I ain't even get a chance to show out, because ain't nothing happening. So I want to say the team got ready to kick a field goal, and I ended up blocking it, returning for a couple yards. And at the end of that, the next day they said, if you don't get a call today, tomorrow you come up to the team meeting. So I didn't get a call, so I come to the team meeting. I made the team, and that started my Ottawa journey.
Money. New mansion, mama flow, got me a couple hundred cash. My wife's like 400 with no stones in it. Partner in the Fed in it, Sally got a phone in it. Lil' brother cracked the bed before we still living. Another day to wake up, get another million. I came to ball, it's not a scrimmage. Shoot the clip into his empty. Rolls truck matching yours, 6.5 in the year. And if it's war, you know we spinning. Do your sentence, not no snitching. Hope that Drake don't start glitching. 7 figures out that kitchen. Chanel bags for my bitches. That Rari 2020, I'm just riding with my glizzy. Do my own thing in my own lane. I'm doing my own thing.